You've probably been hearing a lot about authoritarianism. How is our democracy here safeguarded against authoritarianism? We are here with Dr. Saul Tobias from Liberal Studies, who's going to make it make sense. What is authoritarianism? How is it different than democracy?
Imagine that you grow up in a family with a parent who says to you, you don't get to make the rules. I get to break whatever rules I like. And if you don't like it, I'm going to ground you and take away your phone. So that's basically what
Oh, geez.
authoritarianism
Yep.
is.
Never do that.
Except we're not talking about a parent, we're talking about the government. In a democracy, you need two things: a system of rules that everybody obeys, including the government, and you need people to be able to have a say in their government through free and fair elections. And in an authoritarian society, you don't have free and fair elections, and the government can do pretty much what it likes, uses fear and threats of intimidation to keep the population in check.
One thing that comes up a lot is this question of, can democracies turn into authoritarian governments? What do you think?
Absolutely. And you don't need guns and tanks to do it. Hitler came to power in Germany through elections. Vladimir Putin, the authoritarian leader of Russia, came to power through elections. And here's a scary thing. In the 21st century, authoritarian leaders don't even need to have to cancel elections in order to hold on to power. They just use the power they have to silence opposition, to weaken democratic institutions like the courts and like parliament, and to change the rules of the game. So even if there are elections, those elections aren't free and those elections aren't fair.
So that's a little scary. Safeguards we have to make sure that doesn't happen.
In theory, we've got a lot of safeguards. The framers of the Constitution created a system with three independent branches of government, and they did this really for one reason, and that was to prevent authoritarianism. So they were worried that a charismatic leader would come to power and use that power to override citizens' rights and freedoms. And their idea was that if you have these three branches of government, each branch is going to kind of jealously protect and defend their own independence. And that was going to prevent an authoritarian leader from overstepping the bounds. It's not even just the three branches of government. There's freedom of the press. There's civic organizations like businesses and churches and universities that can defend their constitutional rights. In principle, there's a lot of safeguards, but we have to use them.
Do we have to be concerned with any weaknesses in these safeguards?
We do. So if you grow up in a democratic society like the United States, it's very easy to think that democracy is like the water in our pipes, that it's always going to be there, and you just have to turn on the faucet and it's going to come out. But somebody has to be maintaining those pipes. In fact, we all need to maintain those pipes. For instance, if a judge or a member of Congress decided that they kind of liked what this or that president was doing and said, you know what, I'm just going to surrender all my power and let the government do whatever it likes, even if they may be doing things that are unconstitutional, then that's not maintaining the pipes. That's actually letting the democratic system fall apart. That's why it's really important that we stay informed, that we stay involved, that we don't assume that the democratic system is just going to keep on chugging along, and that we really put pressure on our leaders and our elected officials to defend democratic institutions, to defend the Constitution, to defend the rule of law, so democracy can keep going.
What are the signs you look for to tell if a democracy is functioning properly?
We've heard a lot about people being quite frightened at the moment. There's a lot of uncertainty. People are concerned about whether some of their constitutional rights are going to be taken away. There are people who are worried about deportations. People shouldn't be frightened in a democracy. And so I think that's a reason to be alarmed.
If people want to know more, what do you recommend they read?
A couple of really great books. There's an historian called Timothy Snyder who's written a book called On Tyranny. Another really great author is an historian again called Anne Applebaum. And she's written a couple of books, one called Twilight of Democracy and one called Autocracy, Inc. And they're also really great introductions to authoritarianism and the signs that we should be watching out for when it comes to authoritarianism in America.